But would that make Azrael his bastard brother? Hey, all you boozy bookers. Welcome back for one of our little mini novellas. I'm Jess, and you're here with me and Sam today for Random Musings with Jess. Yes, it's all things random. And this week, see the get up? I had my fun at MegaCon, and now I'm here to talk about the Maasverse because there were so many theories and so many rabbit holes to go down. So I brought in my Sam because she's my Throne of Glass guru. I am not Team Throne of Glass. I am Team Crescent City. So we will be helping each other today to work through some of the different theories and ideas, especially since books 6 and 7 of ACOTAR are coming out. So if you're ready, we're going to dive in.
I'm ready.
So I do want to say that at MegaCon, one of my favorite panels was the Maasverse panel, and I have to give credit to our panelists that were there. So I want to give a shout out to Candy from Books and Candy, Antoinette Cia Lopez, and Katie from Katie.com. They were amazing, and they had so many different theories, but they were also very interactive with us and talking through everybody in the audience of all the different ones. And it was kind of fun being in a room of fellow Sarah J. Maas fans because everybody has a different take on the books and everybody has a different take on the characters. And it's so fun being in a room together to talk about them because we can all watch the reels. We can all share our ideas online. But when we're together and talking them through, it's so fun to see some of the light bulb moments or some of the, oh, I really didn't like that. Nope, I'm not for that idea. So I thought it was one of my favorite parts of MegaCon for me. So I wanted to bring a little bit of that to our boozy bookers. The first thing, I'm just going to dive right in. One of my favorite things from Sarah J. Maas's podcast was that Bryaxis is a girl. And I'm just going to start there and say that love it. Absolutely love it. I do think that maybe that plays into why Cassian was so afraid of her.
Bryaxis is a fierce female.
Yeah. But I do think there was one theory that Candy from Books and Candy brought up was that she thinks that Bryaxis may have actually gone into Rhysand. And that was such a unique theory because that is the first time I've heard that one.
That's super unique. I don't agree with it, but I like the idea of it. I want Bryaxis to just be, she's on a girl vacation somewhere. She's like, I've put in a lot of work. Like, dude, I'm terrorizing men all the time. I've got to check out.
Yeah.
But it makes sense though in a way because
it could make sense for Rhysand taking a different turn. I do, because that'll lead into my second one. I do think Rhysand's on a villain arc. I think there will be a redemption arc after it. Of course there will. He's a key main character. But I have always been one where I think he is going to take a turn. And I think he's going to take a turn because he is so overprotective. I think he's going to, it's one of those the good intentions, the path of good intentions leads to hell. I think he thinks he's doing the right thing, but I think he's going about it the wrong way.
Oh, and so I've never read Crescent City.
Yeah.
So I only know him as far as Silver Flame goes. And I would hate that because I feel like you said, he's a good guy who can make bad choices in the name of those he loves.
Yeah.
And does that mean he's going to be bad all the time? I don't.
I think he will be put in a position where he has to choose between being protective of like Feyre and Nyx, or even like Valeris, versus protecting a greater good. I don't know that Rhysand will choose the greater good.
As someone who loves a villain, I would love that. Who do you love most?
Yeah,
Valeris and Feyre, and I like that better.
Yeah.
If he chose a greater good and sacrificed for some of those things, I don't know. Like, what's his pillars that he's built on? Like Valeris, he's protecting that all the time. Even in ACOTAR, when he was away, he was still protecting Valeris. And then Feyre, obviously, and now his child. So,
I know everybody references the war, and they're like, he fought for the war. He was fighting for everybody. Was he? Was he trying to protect Valeris? Was he? I think at some point he started doing it to protect Feyre and everything. But I think as soon as they became a family unit, as soon as there is a child in play, you have a different level of protection.
Yeah, the hierarchy of it changes completely.
Yeah. So I am interested in seeing that way. And so kind of talking about ACOTAR 6 and 7, who do you think is the focus of those books?
Ooh, okay. I know we're all excited and we want the Azrael We want the Azrael books. We've been waiting a long time. But honest to God, I really think that it's going to be a Nesta. I think it was 3 books Feyre, 3 books Nesta, 3 books Elaine.
Yeah.
And again, I've not read Crescent City. I know that Nesta's gone into those ones. So I feel like, did that bridge the gap and make way for her next 2 books?
No, because they weren't Nesta's books. They were Bryce-centric. So to me,
did she have arcs or anything in it, or?
She kind of does, but the only ACOTAR characters you really get there, like primary ones, are Azrael, Nesta, and Bryce.
Okay.
So I wouldn't call them a Nesta one. But it's also like with Feyre, you went through the journey of like her relationship up through like the mating bond and everything, right? We haven't seen the mating bond with Nesta and Cassian. We haven't seen Nesta and Cassian as a true unit.
You're right, because that stuff really happened at the very end.
Yes. So I think her story is untold. Is still
There's
untold
more to
for
it.
us. Yeah. So I think 6 and 7, I'm hoping are Nesta-centric and on there. And then in the background, I think you'll start getting some subplot of Mor. I think we have to know what happened with Mor.
I'm not a fan of Mor, but
I'm not either. But she is a big...
There's something suspicious about her, and we need to figure out what it is. So yes, okay.
There's a big gap. Whether she's Vlad, whether she's a witch, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I did think that there was a little bit of discussion on what Mor's power really is. And I think it was Candy again that brought up she views as Mor power, not that she's saying the truth, but that what she says becomes the truth. So if she says, I am the Morrigan, this is the truth.
Yeah.
That becomes the truth, but it's not necessarily true, which is why Eris pushes back so much and says, you have to talk to Mor, because maybe he's bound to not reveal
he can't say
like
it.
He knows that it's really not what happened, or like that there's pieces missing.
Makes me hate her more.
So I think that there's something there. I think that there's a villain side of her for sure.
Yes.
But I don't know that she'll get a redemption arc.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, she's one of my least favorite characters. And maybe that's how Sarah J. Maas wrote her, to be kind of edging that. Like, is she good? Is she bad? What is she doing? Not my favorite to read.
Yeah, I think either way you look at it, I think her power does circle around altering truth. I don't think it's that she is a truth teller. I think there's a difference.
I feel like I don't have enough little Easter eggs to tell me either way.
Yeah.
Just that she's the truth teller? Is that how it's worded?
I kind of like that she speaks the truth. Like when she says it, like what she's saying is the truth. Or I don't pick it up on that, because I think that I think it's more of her personal view of the truth.
Yeah. And
like
that's shady.
And
she can change a lot of things that way.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be interesting. I do think that the books being centered on the sisters would be the same kind of arc, because I think Throne of Glass was 10.
Yes.
And so this would kind of be on the same, ACOTAR would kind of be on the same par, especially if she did another, like, she has one novella. She could do another novella between the 2 sisters if she felt like there was
like
a gap.
Bridging. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that would follow in the same range.
I'd be a fan of it. I love, Nesta's my favorite female main character. I love Nesta, so the more Nesta, the better.
What do you think about Elaine?
Okay, so I feel like through the books, Elaine started out okay, and then she became very whiny to me. But I did see a theory, and I wish I could remember what creator said it, but I don't, that she was actually pregnant when she went into the cauldron with her fiance, her human fiance's baby. And that's why she went into such a deep depression, is because the cauldron took her baby. That was her price.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, where in the books after that, where she was just very despondent.
Yeah.
And it makes her feel like the reason behind it was so just. Like, if she lost her baby to turn Fae, like, that's a lot. And it would make sense why Lucian right away is like, you're my mate. And she's like, hold up. Things are terrible right now.
She's going through this amazing grief.
Yes.
And she obviously hasn't told anybody because nobody else knows. So that would make sense to me. I think especially after the Sarah J. Maas podcast, where she kind of talked about how her life experiences are in these books. I could see that being as a potential thing. For me, it's interesting that you say that, because I am Team Lucian and Elaine. I think that they are there. I don't picture her with anybody else, and I know there's a ton of theories. Even at MegaCon, a lot of people were very Elaine and Tamlin, spring and spring. That just gets weird to me.
I don't love that.
I don't love that at all.
They're your sister's leftovers. Yes. I don't love that.
But here's why I love Elaine and Lucien. She became a seer. He is Daemonti. I truly believe he is Daemonti. I think he answers Feyre at times when we're reading and I'm thinking that she's thinking, right?
Yeah.
She's not talking aloud, but he responds to her. And so I think of their similar powers, right? And we have to remember Lucien had a lover before.
Yes.
So what if the pregnancy thing is true for Elaine and she lost her child? What if that is the common ground that they eventually find? Like somehow that part comes out and then Lucien tells his story.
And then they bond over their grief.
Maybe his previous lover had lost a child or
yes.
Or maybe it was just the loss of the thought of having a family.
Yeah.
Like when you lose your loved one or your mate or who you thought was your mate and you lose the future that you pictured with them. And so maybe that is the common ground that Elaine and Lucien start building their actual relationship on.
Because they need more. And I mean, with it starting out immediately knowing, hey, you're my mate, and like that, you can't jump right into that.
Yeah.
So this feels like she had time to find herself again. She had time to figure this out. And now she can start to see Lucien as someone who's a partner. I'm team Lucien and Elaine too.
Yeah, there's so much trauma surrounding Elaine's whole start and everything, right?
Absolutely.
The going through the cauldron trauma in itself. If she were pregnant and lost that, like, trauma. So I can see, it puts a little bit more of her grief and her reaction in perspective for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So who's Asriel's mate?
I think it's Gwen, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely team Gwen and Asriel too.
Yeah, I think the sing-song calling out, I think the kind of savior, and not savior complex, but he likes to
he likes to be the hero.
He likes to be the hero.
He saved her. That's,
but I think he also recognizes that she's saving herself. Like with becoming the Valkyrie, it's that growth. And
he's giving her the space to do that.
Yeah.
He saw her at her lowest, and he's giving her space to become herself again.
Yeah.
Plus the wording of the way Sarah J. Maas normally writes mates, and they're called to each other across all the books. Throne of Glass, through ACOTAR so far. It's very similar the way they're describing. And his shadows sing by her. They don't hide. They're calling her in. There's a lot of the same imagery and similes used. I really feel like if it's not Gwen and Asriel, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Right. I agree. I do want to talk about Tamlin too, because if you know Sam is about the redemption arcs. She's always talked about a Tamlin redemption arc. She does not shy away from that. But one of the things that came up was the potential that Tamlin saved Rhys's sister. So you have the starry pool in the spring court. The thought was that it's a portal. She went into Crescent City, and that she is the unnamed mom of Rhudanon.
Ooh.
Because they do talk about the family having shadow powers, but they never name his mom and dad.
This is very fun.
And then we also find out that from Bryce's trip there, that yes, the Fae that's in Crescent City originated in Pyrinthian about 15,000 years before. And that the Alarians were potentially, I believe the tie is that they were created by the Asteri from Crescent City. So there is a ton of connection between the two.
When you say 15,000 years, really in Fae years, that's like 3 generations.
Yeah,
that's like
nothing. 3 weekends ago. You know.
Oh,
so
and
I think we're starting to see more of how they are intrinsically tied.
And now, of course, I have not read Crescent City. Or his parents, she doesn't have wings, right? Because they were taken from her. If we recall right, in the first, they're in Tamlin's house.
Yeah, so I don't think that I would have to go back and read if they describe his mom at all. I think that they just talk about
just the powers
and magic was the power of shadows, and that's the Fae he falls from.
I hope that happened because you don't really even know her, you just know the story of her, and I hope that she got a happy little ending there.
Yeah, and so again, there's a lot of ties between that. There's a lot of ties between the Night Court, because like I said, in Crescent City, I should have said, spoiler warning,
we'll put
it on the post, but if you've gotten this far, this entire episode is all about spoilers.
For the whole series.
For all of the series. Across the board. So in Crescent City, when Bryce wants to go to hell, she ends up in the Night Court, and she ends up with Azriel, and Azriel takes her into custody, and she's interrogated, and she kind of escapes, and she has this whole journey and back and forth with Azriel and Nesta, and she does have a lot of back and forth with Nesta. She's trying to win Nesta over because she really needs Azriel's Shadow Singer, but they also see the artifacts that Nesta controls, right? And and all of this is bridging, like, Bryce is trying to save her world. It is directly tied with Perinthian from where they fled from before. And so there is a link of, like, if Crescent City falls, does it impact the Night Court? Or has Bryce coming there now opened that there is an immediate, imminent threat?
Oh, goodness.
To this. So I think there's a lot shaping up for ACOTAR 6 and 7 for me.
Do you think
because it was left, I just think some of it was left open-ended.
Do you think that ACOTAR 6 and 7 are going to start up where, like, Crescent City stopped, or they're just going to draw back to that? Or do you think it's going to be a whole separate situation?
It depends on who she's following. It depends on who's the center.
That's true.
Are we going to pick up in the Winter Court with Morth? Because maybe it's a few months prior to Bryce being there. And 6 is before Bryce is there, and 7 is after Bryce has been, or during Bryce. Maybe we get more Azriel or somebody else's POV of her being there.
Yeah.
That tells a different side of it.
At Throne of Glass, she does have Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn are 2 separate books, 2 separate stories happening at the same time. Yeah. That's why a lot of people tandem read them. You can do them separate. I did them separate. They're about 2 different people. It's fine. They're just in the same time frame. So it wouldn't surprise me if 6 and 7 are that.
It could be a tandem read.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. And they're not being released too far apart, which might lead more to it being a tandem read.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she's giving people enough time to read 6 if they want to read separate, but then also not, like, holding out too long for people who want a tandem read.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll know more once we get the cover arts and the titles.
Yeah.
I think then another episode with Theories Abound of what they're going to be about.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll track down those Easter eggs. Don't worry. I also want to talk about, so Sarah J. Maas is, from what I'm told, very big on names. Her names have meaning in all of her books. Throne of Glass, you have all last names, correct?
Yes.
Crescent City, we have all last names. They tie to powerful families. It is there, and there's more hidden meaning behind the names. Then you get to ACOTAR, and there's no last names except for one, Vansera. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because you've read Throne of Glass, which is the larger one, and so you know the meaning behind the names there. What do you think about for this here?
I think she's too intentional to not have this mean something. She would not have written the whole thing and just said, "Oh yeah, Lucian's got a last name." You know, she's too intentional with her writing and her Easter eggs. I think that's going to come in. Because if she was just like, "Oh, none of the High Lords have last names," that's fine. Don't give Lucian a last name, though. Like, so what's happening there?
Because he's actually a High Lord heir.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Like we don't, and he's not a Vansera heir.
No, he's
so it's even unique.
Donner Day. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, Italian. Yeah,
yes.
Day.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's unique that he's the one that has a last name.
Yeah.
And I think that'll come into play because I mentioned this to you earlier. One of the things that was brought up is that the Weaver and the Weaver's Row in Valeris is Ariane, which is Latin for spider.
Yes.
Which you said is possibly a Throne of Glass reference.
Yes, because Maeve, the Fae Queen, who is Valg, she had her ladies' maids brought over were actually Valg, and they were spiders, which in Tower of Dawn, they play a large part of the creatures that are terrible and attacking people. Yeah. So, I mean, Valg and spiders, they've got some connection there.
Yeah. And so I think the last names too play into some of the theories that I've seen about the Archeron sisters, because we never know Mama Archeron's name.
No.
And I'm team Archeron sisters are witches.
I would agree there is something happening there. Of course, I don't know Crescent City, but Throne of Glass, the witches are a huge part of it. There's 3 separate witch tribes, Manon and the 13. Witches play a giant part in this. And there are some things that definitely play in with the witch theme and the Archeron sisters. There's the iron bed frame.
The ironwood brooms were from the Throne of Glass witches. And then she has the heirloom bed, like the bedpost was the ironwood. And that's where they were all born. And that's where Mama died.
Yes.
So,
and also, and I think that the video you shared with me from the Maasverse panel, that the hierarchy, the matriarchy is such a big thing. So if they're talking about the grandma, they're talking about the mothers, and now the women, like just in the Throne of Glass series, which is that they're girl power all the way through. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ties.
Yeah, and so their cottage had worn symbols that looked like wards at some time. So Mama could have done those at some point, right? Like knowing that she's passing or not going to be there. And then I'm also think that the sisters had some sort of magical abilities, and that's why they were successful going through the cauldron versus just being straight mortal. I think they are part mortal. I think Dad was mortal.
Yeah.
But I think Mom would have been the one with
Papa Artron's a little bitch, man. So, they're a little weak.
But I think that's why they, being a seer, having death power, the visions, I think having all of that, all of those different things, it's because there was something already in them, some magical or mystical ability.
Now, how about this? Okay, there's a part in one of the Akatars, the first ones where Tamlin, I believe, says, "Didn't your mom tell you about us?" Like, is there... Fays have good sense of smell. Yeah. Is he smelling the witch blood off of them?
Probably.
Like, didn't your mom tell him? Like,
yes.
I don't know. Also, the mom's very harsh with, especially Nesta. We know that she raised her to be like, you're going to get yourself a, what was it, like a duke or something? I don't know. Giving witch vibes. They're real hardcore. So, like, I think they're witches.
So,
or witch blood.
I think that's more why Tamlin was drawn to them. I think he sensed that there was something about that. I think that there was magic. That comment. I think he saw Feyre as a trophy. Oh. You know what I mean? I think that's what he saw in. I don't.
Tamlin alone.
I just don't think it was love.
He was desperate to save his court, and she was beautiful and helpful, and he said, "This is it. I'm going to protect her as far as I can."
Yes, I'm going to squeeze her to death until her head pops off.
He loved her.
Suffocation. Yeah,
he loved her. Now, do you think that Tamlin's going to get a love interest?
I don't know. I
want him to have a happy ending. I also see his happy ending could be just finally proving his worth and his kindness and sacrificing himself in a way. I could see that, but I do want him to have his happy ending.
Yeah, I think his redemption arc will definitely be sacrifice, but I don't know on the love side. I don't know if he's capable. I haven't seen that side of him yet.
Now, there was a character throughout the a very small section. She was one of the human girls that had gotten taken, if you recall, at these camps when they stayed in the lane. Yeah. And I believe her name was Briar. And I kept thinking, Briar, Spring Court. And then she just disappeared and she never showed back up. But there was a small time where I was like, this is Tamlin's girl.
This is Tamlin's.
Oh, she went to the Winter Court, I believe. That's where she went way to.
I think if he does get a love interest, I don't think we've met them yet.
I don't think so either. I don't know what character that we've met so far that would even fit. And I know people, like you said, Elaine, but I don't think that's for her.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I get it. She plants flowers. That doesn't make her full spring, you know?
No.
Yeah, that's why I'm
planting flowers in the night court. Flowers can be anywhere.
Flowers can be anywhere. So I'm curious, what other theories do you have from Akatar or the Maasverse, Sam?
Oh, Lord. I gotta think about this for a second. I feel like I know it's a big controversy thing, but how the worlds are tied together, I'm feeling they're more all like a multiverse time. They're all starting at the same time, and you're just going. There's like the portals going through them. I think they're all at the same time. I don't think it's before or after or anything like that. That's what I would think is.
Yeah, if the Asteri are linked to Perinthian, they have a map of the universe. So it's, it looks horizontal, not vertical. Because I know people talk about Aelin and falling through the layers.
Yes.
But it just seems different when you picture what they describe as the map of the universe in Crescent City from the Asteri. So I do think that we're not meant to know yet. I think maybe in 6 and 7 we'll get it more. But I want to say she also said she's not done with Crescent City. So maybe Crescent City is where because that's where we got the map of the universe. Maybe we'll get more of it from the Crescent City thread of series.
Oh,
I know, you're going to have to dive in.
I don't want to do that. How do you feel about the theory that Azriel is the true heir to the Night Court?
I don't subscribe to it. I know a lot of people talk about it, and I do know Bryce fell through, came to his feet. I could see it. Again, if I'm thinking that Rhys is a villain, it's not beyond him to have altered minds or stuff to make him seem like the heir.
Yeah.
But would that make Azriel his bastard brother? Is that kind of the thought we're thinking?
Oh.
Because we still know who Dad is. So
no, we don't. And we know he's a jerk, though.
Yeah.
So
So how would we tie Azriel in? It would have to be through Dad. Because the moms are not the same.
No, because he knows his mom's still alive, I believe. I think she is.
Yeah, I don't remember Azriel's mom. I would have to go back and look. But again, it would have to be through the dad.
Oh.
Which we already know with Hellion and Lucian, like that happens, it can happen.
Yeah.
So if that would have to be the thread for it. But how does that play out in the bigger picture? Because now this whole time, Azriel has been kind of subservient to Reese, and that would be a real change in dynamic.
Like a shakeup for sure.
Especially for the whole inner circle, because I guarantee you nobody else in the inner circle knew that.
No.
I think it would be a very big dynamic shift.
I don't love that.
Yeah, so I don't know if I subscribe to that one.
And you know what I feel like? Wouldn't Azriel just be, he likes what he does he not?
I think
does
he
it
does.
change?
So, this is the thing. He is so tied to that Shadow Singer.
Oh yeah.
And now he's not going to have it. And so I'm really curious to see how he copes with not having it. Because I think it's like an extension of him, right?
Yeah.
So he would almost feel naked, I would think, without it.
Have to go through an identity crisis.
I think he might have to lean on Gwen for some comfort and support during this time.
Oh no.
That's my theory on them.
I hope they train together. Oh no.
But so you know a lot about Throne of Glass and the Vlag.
Yeah.
So talk to me about who in ACOTAR would you identify as Vlag, knowing your perception of them?
I know where you're leading me. You're leading me
your
to tell you, Reason. You're leading me there. Yes, he fits a lot of the things about it. Okay. He does. Vlags are basically demons. They possess you.
Because people say more. So is more of Val.
I don't see that. I picture her more just a fae that's doing weird shit. But I see, and maybe I've tied it into Dorian and Throne of Glass. He was taken over by a Valg, and he's meeting the same type of thing. So where the personality changes a little bit, enough to be believable, but also different.
So I will say I think it's clear that the Asteri and Crescent City would be Valg based off the way that they've been described, like parasitic. You know, they literally siphon souls. Yeah. So and I would think that they're definitely Valg. So there is that across all three arcs. That
do they talk about them coming from a different place? Okay.
Which is I like
same as Valg. Yeah. They're coming from.
They basically drain where they're at, and then they move on. They move on to another
very similar
planet, whatever you want to call it.
So do you think they're the same type of creature, just different names in different worlds?
Yes.
I would
subscribe to that for right now. From what I know, having not read Throne of Glass, that's what I would describe.
Okay.
That's what I would think.
It seems believable. I'm there.
That's why Bryce is trying to stop them there so that they cannot move on.
Oh.
Because she's kind of cut off their food source, sort of, in Crescent City, or at least limited it. And so now I think she's trying to cut them off there so that they don't move on again.
Okay, and that's what
she knows, like, this hasn't been their first stop.
Yeah, well, in Throne of Glass, that's what happened. They had armies and thousands of them, and they came over from a different world, and then they were stopped. So
that's what I would say for it. So
they're the villain across the series.
I think so. Which means I might have to read Throne of Glass.
It's a commitment, but it's worth it.
It's a commitment, yes.
Now,
it's a commitment because my TBR is also already too long.
Oh my God.
And that would be basically doubling it, right?
It gets rough around when you know you've got 3 books left and they are giant. And you're like, holy cow, what's going to happen? So I like ACOTAR better, but Throne of Glass felt... It's one of those series that it sticks with you. It sticks with you for a long time.
Yeah. So I think that's good. So I think that's all I have for today to wrap up our dive into the Maasverse. Again, we want to say thank you to Candy from Books and Candy, Antoinette C. Lopez, and Kitty from Kitty.com for their MegaCon panel that they had, because you inspired today's episode for us. And as always, bookers, check out this week's book episode coming up and all of our drink recipes. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.